Welcome everyone. I'm not quite as loud as Paul, so I don't need the microphone. One thing Paul didn't say is we don't have any plans this morning, so if it does go off, it is for real. As Paul said, welcome to West Office. I know some of you have been here before, some of you may not have been. I think it's a really good venue for us to be able to have events like this and bring customers, tenants, residents, stakeholders all together. I'd just like to welcome you to this, the third annual Housing Week and the Housing Summit. We tend to and have themed them on different areas, and this week has been themed around housing and health. I think some of the important things that a vibrant and successful housing market has many facets. Quite clearly, supply of new housing is a big one, and it's something that the council and partners have been working for a long time to try and address, and we will continue to do that. However, I think it's quite clear to say the success of a housing market is one where everyone has access to a safe, warm and affordable home. And you cannot underestimate the impacts of not having that on someone's health, on someone's life chances. So that's why we've looked at having the focus around housing and health and well-being. We've got I would say we've had a great agenda this morning, some great speakers, just big people up to my left and John at the front. Hopefully the presentations and the workshops will be challenging, and I think it's important that we do challenge ourselves and our thinking in these processes. So I'm hoping for some thought-provoking sessions this morning. We've got a presentation from Becky Ward, the Homelessness Services Manager, around getting it right for young people, and some information and the DVD that's been put together by young people about their experiences. I think all too often we tend to look at the bigger things, or what are perceived the bigger things around housing. And we have an ageing population. There's a session of one of the workshops about ageing well. And loneliness is a big issue, a big problem in society generally, but one that's quite often overlooked. People think, oh well, somebody might go out to a coffee morning once a week. They may well do, but actually the impact of loneliness has a massive impact on people's well-being. And John Kennedy, Director of Jordan County Housing Trust, is going to give us a good, challenging and thought-provoking presentation on that, John. As I've said, we've got some really good workshop sessions later, and I would ask people to be challenging in those. We don't change, we don't improve unless we challenge ourselves, and part of this process, part of the Housing Week and today in these workshops, is to look at things, to try and bring a new focus, to challenge the focus that we've already got. We do a lot of things, and we do a lot of things very, very well. But we do need to keep challenging ourselves so that we keep changing and reacting to what's happening in society. And then finally this morning we've got Professor Becky Tunstall from York University, that's going to talk to us about some of the research between housing and health and the impacts of that. I'm not going to talk for long. I see my members of staff starting to smile now. But what I did want to do just before we move on to today's session is talk about some of the work that's been done since last year. We had over 600 people attend different sessions throughout the week and the summit, the conference at the end of it. And during that week we had over 25 different events, and we were quite deliberate in our focus of a lot of those events, and over 50% of them were events for customers, and specifically set out around customers. And there were a number of actions and challenges that came out of that. As I said earlier, supply, and particularly affordable supply, was one of them. We have limited land availability, particularly within the city, in the city centre. And one of the workshops and sessions we did last year was around living over the shop. Now, I know from looking around, some of you, not all of you, managed to get to a session yesterday at the old White Swan Hotel on the corner of Piccadilly. The property that we've worked in partnership with the HCA, with 13 housing group to bring back into use. Now, for those people that know you all well, that's been empty since the early 80s. Significant deterioration in the condition. Actually, that's in the process of being turned into 18 units that will be let at affordable rent, with the first one being available mid-December this year, subject to all the construction going to plan. That's a real positive outcome, and when you look at the demand and the need for housing in the city, the more property we can bring back like that, the better. One of the things we talked about was financial inclusion. And the negative impacts that being financially excluded has on individuals. And some of that relates into access to mainstream credit, the impact of payday loans, and the massive negative impact the interest rates that some of those companies have. We have looked at what was called the rental exchange, a scheme set up by Experion and Big Issue, and that takes rental data from social landlords and puts that into the credit rating system. If people have got a mortgage, you pay a mortgage. If you pay that mortgage on time, month after month, that helps you build up a good credit rating. The fact that the majority of our tenants within the city pay their rent month after month, week after week, that doesn't support their credit rating. So we've looked at that, and a decision was approved by Councillor Simpson-Lang last month, I believe, if I recall correctly, for us to introduce that within the city for our council term. That, on the initial look of it, will bring in or improve 66% of our customers' credit rating, and over 10% of our customers will be able to access mainstream credit where they previously haven't. Now, it is only 10%, but that's 800 people. That has a massive impact. So any of the social landlords in the room, anybody who has dealings with social landlords, I would recommend them to look at that, because it can have a real positive impact on the well-being of your customers. Finally, we looked at how we can make best use of the stock that we have. That was one of the things that tenants were talking to us and telling us about. And we had a home swapper event at the Housing Week last week, encouraging people who were under-occupying to downsize with people who were over-occupying. We had a big push on that, and had just under 250 households that have swapped homes and exchanged homes last year. That is a real positive, especially when you think, as a city, the council, we only let about 550 properties. Our turnover is only about 8%. So by having that programme, we've been able to encourage almost 50% of further moves, again, which has a massive impact on people's health and well-being. So that's it from me. Hopefully I've not taken 10 minutes. I did tell Tracy I'd leave a little bit longer than 10 minutes. But thank you very much. I hope you all have a good day and a positive day. I'd just like to now pass you on to Councillor Tracy. Thank you.